I will record this and just make sure that everyone can hear me loud and clear. I've done two RPR presentations today, a live group here in Springfield, Missouri, so I'm broadcasting live from there. Thank you, San Diego, California. All right. Nashville, Tennessee. Good. Got lots of people. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Austin, Texas. Philadelphia. Cool. All over the globe. And I'm broadcasting loud and clear, as I mentioned, from Springfield, Missouri. We had some really wild storms go through here yesterday. So I'm presuming everybody can hear me okay because we're getting lots of people. Franklin, Tennessee. What a cool area. I love Franklin, Tennessee. Nashville and San Diego, probably one of my favorite places to go. If I could sell real estate anywhere, that would be at the top of my list. But all of these places, Chicago, Marietta, I love. I have not been to Clifton, New Jersey. Orlando. So San Antonio, I was just in your area in Miami, Florida. Great. All right. Well, I have 12 o'clock, so it is time to get started. And I am going to minimize the screen and we'll jump right over to RPR. So again, I'm recording this. At the end of the presentation, I will give you an address where you can watch the presentation if you'd like to rewatch it. I am traveling today. It may be tonight before I get that reloaded back onto my website, but I'll see what I can do. Perhaps I can get that uploaded quicker than that. So my name is John Mayfield. I've been in real estate since 1978, the age of 18. Some of you are quickly calculating my age. Others have probably gone out and Googled me. I should have a PowerPoint up right now, and I apologize. We just finished my other presentation, so I tried to drink some water and get logged in. But I have a PowerPoint. I only have a few slides I'll show you, and rather than showing the PowerPoint, I'll just kind of go through a few items with you on the PowerPoint. First of all, a lot of people want to know what is RPR and why do we have this thing called RPR? Secondly, a lot of people want to know, is RPR an MLS or is it syndicating information to other types of websites? And the answer is no, it's not. It's not an MLS. RPR is not a syndicating platform. We don't send the information out to anyone else. And the public doesn't have any access to RPR. RPR is strictly for you and I as realtors. And by the way, you have to be a member of the National Association of Realtors to use RPR. I'm a realtor. As I mentioned, I've been in real estate since 1978. I'm a broker. I do a lot of training and speaking around the country and around the world on technology and marketing. But I love this product. And I go by the business tech guy. I talk on technology. And I want to tell you, this is a tool that really can just turn your whole real estate career upside down and help you make more money. It has in my own profession. And as I shared with the folks here in Springfield, Missouri, you're already paying for this with your dues dollars. So why not just take advantage of it and use it? So the public has no access. It is only for you and I as realtors, and it's really a way for us to help us with our real estate business. Now, why do we have this thing called RPR anyway? I tell the story, and I remember not too long ago, I had some folks that called me up and they wanted to look at this listing I had listed. And I had this property. If I could sell this property, it was going to allow 3 or 4 other properties to close. I'm sure you've had a situation like that. So it was a good domino effect. And the people called me up. They said they wanted to look at this house. They gave me the street address. And have you ever just had that intuition when you get a property call? It's like, I think this is going to be a good call. I think these people will buy that property. That's the way I felt when I got that call. So I meet the people at the house like 2 days later. We'd set up the appointment. I get out of the car. I say, "Hi, my name's John Mayfield." The very first words out of the buyer's mouth, with his hands on his hips, mind you, is, "How come this house is only worth $89,000 on you know which website I'm talking about?" Well, I said, "That's a great question, and I'm glad you asked that question." And I proceeded to explain to him that the website where he saw the estimated value was a website that only had access to what we term or call public information, public data. And as I told him, what really further complicates, there's a couple of things that really further complicate that price that you saw online is, first of all, it's just a computer. A computer's never been out here to see, well, have the people put new carpet or have they put new granite countertops or how does the house show? How's it decorated? I mean, the computer doesn't know if the people have 6 dogs and 3 cats and 2 birds that are yelping as you're trying to move around and preview the property. It's just a computer. And the second problem that we have with that estimate you saw online is that that company only has access to what we call public data. And in Missouri, we are a non disclosure state, which means they don't have really much data to look at. So, I proceeded to explain to him that through my valuation and through my tools using the MLS, using my physical inspection of the property, and other information that I use as a professional real estate agent, that's why I arrived at the price that I had. By the way, they bought that home and the domino effect happened, and I closed all of those deals, but it was a really good exercise for me to understand why, as realtors, we need RPR because we've got a lot of junk out there on the internet and a lot of junk that's really not very accurate, but yet consumers want to believe and think that, well, that's all that house might be worth. So RPR gives you and I, as realtors, the ability and the opportunity to use the same kind of tools these other people are using. Well, it's called big data. However, we can we have the hidden key. And through the National Association of Realtors, we can use the MLS data and whatever public data is available, because sometimes we do have some public data in my community, to really come in with a much better, accurate price. And by the way, we get to use our experience, our knowledge of the marketplace, and our physical inspection of the property to really come in with a very accurate price. Now, so that's why we have RPR. I mean, quite frankly, the National Association of Realtors realized that we needed a tool like this, or that the members needed a tool like this, and that there was a demand for people wanting to know, uh, you know, figuring out these automated valuation models. So why not develop one through the National Association of Realtors that's strictly only for realtors like you and I? And so we trademarked it and we call it the Realtors Valuation Model. It's a RVM, and I'll show you that more of that in just a second. And it's a very good tool. And I want to be very honest with you. I've been practicing real estate a long time. I'm finding that this tool, about 85 to 90% of the time, is right in line with my gut feeling. Because a lot of time as agents, we have kind of an idea what we think a house will probably sell for when we pull up out front. We're familiar with the neighborhood, and I'm finding it's very, very accurate, and it's helping me close more deals. And just all around, it's a great tool. So, two other things I'll mention to you. It is an it's an evolving, ever cutting edge application. That's probably not the right grammatical terminology to use. I'm again, keep in mind I've been speaking for about 4 hours straight, but it's a tool that we continue to increase and enhance. I'm with the team that is looking at all of the tools that are being brought on board, and there's just some mind-boggling stuff that we've added the last year, and that we're continuing to add. And I'll show you where you can get that information as well. So keep that in mind. It's changing, and we're continuing to develop every month, introduce new tools. And the second thing I want to mention is there's a lot of data being dumped into this website. In fact, I think there's over 350 different pieces of data. And when you say, well, what do you mean by data and 350 pieces? I mean, we're going out and getting the information for you, bringing it into RPR so that you only have to go to one place, which is the website you're looking at now, and you can see all of these different pieces of data that's available for you. Okay, so let's get in and let me show you how RPR works. And then it's a basic course, so we're going to kind of go through just a few things here. And then I think I may have Valerie on board with me, or Joe, and they are hopefully watching the question bank. If not, I'll come out and try to ask some questions. But I will give you my name and phone number at the conclusion, or email address. Preferred methods probably email, but you're welcome to call me. And listen, I'm going to show. We're in the basic class, and I like to I like to show you some advanced stuff because I love technology. And if there's something you want to know how to do, you call me, okay? I mean that. There's several hundred people on the phone on the call here, and I had a girl last month from Texas, and she said, I want to know how you did that. And I helped her out, and she accomplished that. She sent me what she was doing. She's rocking it with RPR. So I want to show you how you can really make this thing grow your business. And I love technology, and I love kind of trying to look at some cool things you can do. So hang on, we're going to show you some basic and some advanced, really cool tools that I think you can use with RPR. My first order of business is out here. I'm going to show you this. I'm logged in right now through another account because I'm offering these live classes in Springfield, Missouri today. So in order to show their data, I'm logged in under a different account. Now we'll be looking at data from the Phoenix, Arizona MLS, but I want you to see that this says RPR. Hopefully, if you've logged in, you are seeing your company logo, okay? Or if you're not seeing your company logo and you are, I see a couple of questions that have come in. You should be seeing my screen. Are you not seeing my screen? Someone asked when they would be seeing my screen. And so hopefully you're seeing my screen okay. If not, please let me know. Yes, we can see it. Okay, great. So hopefully right here, I want you to see that this can be branded with your company logo. And if you're seeing RPR or you're seeing your MLS, the way you can accomplish that is to have your broker go down here to the bottom, select blog, and then go into the broker tool set, and they can enroll in that, and that's free, and they'll be able to see their brand right up there. You'll be able to see your company brand. Now, over on the right, where the little gear icon is, this is where you're going to set up your account. This is where you add all of your information, and you'll put your password in, and you'll set your MLS login ID, and you'll do all of that from right there over on the right-hand side. So this is your login. If you're new to RPR, you want to go over here, make sure everything's set up correctly, and if you are not seeing your company brand, please get with your local board office or call the help number. You can actually go down to the bottom, and we've got the help number down here. They're there 24/7, 7 days a week. They're in Omaha, Nebraska, and so you can call them and say, "Hey, my broker wants to get our logo up here. How do we do that?" Right now we're just looking at our MLS or our association logo, and they can help get that set up because you really want this branded with your company's logo. So let's take a look here at RPR and kind of get into the gist of what we're going to be working with. I'm going to be focusing on this specific area right here. Now, yes, I hit the home button a lot and I select the reports tab a lot, but I'll be honest with you, I probably never even click these buttons. So, I mean, they're there if you want to use them, but most of our work's going to be right down here in this particular area. You will notice up here that we have the ability to go to commercial. Of course, as a broker, I have the data tools you would not have, and I have the admin, which you would not have there. But I'm going to quickly go to commercial, and you'll see that it's jumped over to the commercial side there. Anytime I want to go back to residential, I just select residential. So that was all property, or this is our area down here. And for some reason, I'm going to erase my screen settings here, and I want to just kind of focus on this first tab, which is called all properties. I want you to think in terms of all properties as being connected to the courthouse. I put a C there for courthouse. Recently, I had some friends of mine who wanted to list their mother's house. I grew up down the street from these friends, knew their mom and dad very well. They lived there when I was a kid growing up. Of course, my mom and dad sold our house, and I moved away and went to college, and bought my own place. But Billy's mom and dad lived there on West Main in that house for years. They were there when I was a kid growing up. They were there up until last year. Billy's father passed away. His mother was going to go into a nursing home, and the children wanted to sell the house, and they wanted me to handle the property. Now, keep in mind, Billy's mother and father had never, ever put their house in the MLS. I would know. I've been selling since I was 18. It had never been in the MLS. They call me up. They want me to come out and look at their mom's house and tell them what the property's worth. By selecting all properties right here and typing in the address of Billy's mom and dad's house and hitting the search button, I not only got all of the information I needed to list that house, but RPR even suggested a list price for me. Now, I couldn't get that kind of information or data from my MLS. So that's what I mean by when we say there's like 1.66 million parcels of property in the MLS, it's going and mapping all of the properties, and you literally kind of like have a feed to the county courthouse with all the data. Now, when we look at for sale, it's kind of like you're mirroring the MLS. So I'll put an M there. Okay. And so keep that in mind as you go through and look for properties. If it's something that's for sale, you can go right into the for sale and you could type in the street address 123, and you'll notice I'll put West Main. We'll see if there's anything. If there's any, there's a 123 10th Street. If there's anything actively listed, RPR is going to go out and match that. Now, I was matching all of these zip codes, but we do have a house listed. I mean, I have access with this system through the whole United States. So there is a property with 123 Main in Alabama. Now, you can also type in addresses, like I'm going to type in Springfield. Notice that it's auto-populating for Springfield, Colorado, Springfield, Florida, and today I was doing searches in Springfield, Missouri, so I hit the search button. And keep in mind, I was on the for sale button there, on the for sale tab, but watch what happens over in this area right here. About 1,770 properties. Now watch, let's go back to the home screen. See, I tell you, I use my home button up there. This time, let's select all properties and let's type in Springfield, Missouri. and search. And I'll make the map smaller here. And watch what happens this time in this area. It's going to be a much bigger number because we were searching all properties. So hopefully you understand when I say if you're searching all properties, it's kind of like you're plugged into the courthouse. When you're searching for sale, it's kind of like it's mirroring the MLS. Now, you do have the option to search for lease. If you have those posted in your MLS, you can search by neighborhoods and you can search by schools. Let's just say you want to pull up a neighborhood report for Farmington, Missouri. That's where I'm from. So I'm going to go to Farmington, Missouri. And again, I'm under neighborhoods. See that? I'm going to hit search. And this is going to give me a lot of stuff about Farmington, Missouri. I actually have all the charts and graphs that I would want. And I have housing information about Farmington, Missouri. I have information about the people of Farmington, Missouri. And you say, well, what kind of information do we have? What do we have there? I can scroll down here to the bottom and I can show you that 58.7% of the people voted Republican in the last election, 39.1% voted Democrat. And some of you are saying, where'd they get that information? And if you go over to the left about this data, they give you the footnote where it came from and how often it's updated. Remember I said there's 350 pieces of data over that that's being funneled into RPR? You don't have to go out and search this information. RPR is getting it for you. So some of you might say, well, how could I use a neighborhood report? There's lots of ways you can use a neighborhood report. Let me give you a couple of examples here. I'm going to duplicate a tab. I'm going to go out to my Mayfield RE website, and I'm going to show you what I've done with a Farmington report on my website using a little company called Flip Builder. And so here's market reports. I can go to Farmington, Missouri. And so here's this RPR report from about neighborhood report from Farmington, Missouri. And now I use a little software program called Flip Builder. And so here's Flip Builder that's now in a digital magazine format. And if I want to share this, create a QR code, I can share this. I can put it on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. I can even I can take this embed code and do what I did here. I'm just driving traffic to my website. They can sign up for it. And now I've got this report that I can share that I created from here. I can also use a really cool little product called Snagit. So with Snagit, I can actually go out here. Whoops, I want to hit stop. I was just showing the last group here. We were doing a video. With Snagit, I can do video. So now I'm actually recording a video, and I can go through and talk about the video, click on the links, and when I'm ready to stop with Snagit, I can just hit the quit button, and Snagit will quit recording, and then I can package that up. Now I actually going to quit that as well. I'm going to pull Snagit back up because what I should have done was chose so this is a video here. This is a video I just created. And so I can upload this video to YouTube. But earlier today, I just did a screenshot of Charlotte, Iowa, just to show what was happening in the marketplace, and actually can take that and share that on Facebook, my business page. I can do a tweet on that. So there's lots of things that I can do regarding using Snagit. So, I mean, there's lots of charts, there's lots of great information that you can get. And if nothing else, embed it on your website, become familiar with RPR and what's going on in your marketplace. So that's part of the neighborhoods. You can do the same thing with schools. So if I'm looking for a school In Phoenix, let's see, I'm a creative speller. So if I'm looking for a school in Phoenix, Arizona, I can now, there's 575 schools, and I say, well, my customer or client, I'm a buyer's agent, is just interested in an elementary school. And now I can search this down. And if they told me a name of a school, I can type in the name and boom, I go right to that school. Now I can look at test scores, I can get a report of the school, and I can even look at nearby properties. So there's some great things you can do right here in the main box. Now there's one other really cool thing we can do here, and then we're going to dive into a property, is I can go to market activity. So now I'm going to select market activity, and I'm going to type in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm going to go down here to a zip code. We'll try this, Arizona, and I'm going to go back the last 3 days, and I just want new listings. I don't want pending. I'll take price exchange. I'll take expireds too. I might want to do some prospecting. I'll get rid of the leases. So I'm searching this zip code, anything that's a new listing, a price change, or that has expired in the last 3 days. So I hit the search button, and now I will have this information. Whoops, there's no available data that came up. I maybe wanted, and I usually tell everyone, this is like Geraldo Rivera when he opened up the vault, for those of you who watched Geraldo, and we were going to look in Jimmy Hoffa's tomb, and we watched it for 2 hours, and nothing showed up. That happens sometimes with technology, so well, hopefully something will pop up here as I take a quick drink of water. Just 1 second. Now we're searching the entire city of Phoenix, so it may take a little bit longer. And I am on a Wi-Fi that has been somewhat good today, but I don't know if someone else is downloading a larger report in the building or not. But hopefully we'll get something here. I'm trying to think. There we go. 406 properties. Now, again, these are within the last 3 days, and these are price changes recently expired. That's probably what was taking a little bit longer. Now, notice if I want to have 50 per page, I can do that. If I want to sort these by most expensive, least expensive, or recently updated, I can do that. And I can also make changes over here on the fly to say, really, I'm just wanting to look at a price range between 200,000 and 225,000. And so I make these changes right on the fly, and I select apply, and I'm going to get more search results. Remember, last 3 days, new listings, price changes, or expireds, and we're looking in Phoenix, Arizona, and so it will pull any of those in that price range. So we're looking between, what do we say, 200 and 225. So it should hopefully find a few for us here in a second. And while that's looking, I'm going to scroll on down and just show you there are other changes. So if you were looking for a 3-bedroom to 4-bedroom, or if they needed more than 3 bedrooms, you can make those changes as well. So I apologize that it's taking a little bit longer, but we'll go on. I think you get the gist of it. And now it's actually pulled those up. We're down to 33 properties. Now, Ken, some of these are expireds. I may want to prospect as an agent if they're not listed. So I can go through and I can actually find a house. And I want to just find one here. Let's just take this one right here. It recently expired and it's got a price of 209, but the RVM's 217. So I'm going to pull this up And let's just take a look at this in depth because there's some really cool information we can get from this property. First of all, we know it's expired, so perhaps I want to try to get with them about doing a CMA or a report on what their house is worth. My first look at this is, gosh, why didn't that sell? The RVM's coming in at 217. The list price was 209. But remember, I said in the beginning of the program, it's just a computer. It hasn't made a physical inspection of the property. It doesn't know that on one side of the street is a better school district than the other side of the street. So there's some work we have to do, and it did not do a physical inspection of the property. So we've got lots of information here we can look at. We can see what's happened with the RVM in the last month. I can see the price. I can look at pictures of the property. So now I'm able to look at the pictures of the property, and I'm thinking, I just wonder how many times this property's been on the market. Well, notice over here on the right, there's a comparative historical records. I can literally go out, and if this property has been listed before, which it was, well, that's the 930, but if it had been listed before, we would see any of the times it's been in the MLS over here on the right-hand side. So now I can go down, I can look at the data, compare it from the MLS. Now I'm going to scroll on down. I can add some notes if I want to, and we'll talk about that in a minute. If I'm doing a CMA for these folks, I may want to put the seller's proceeds in along with the other inspection or the other cost, and it will auto calculate this for me, and I can include this with my report. So I've got that ability to add a seller's proceeds. I can add notes at any time that I cannot do in my MLS. And a lot of times I'm a very visual person and I'm using my iPad. I'm highlighting and circling points of interest that I want the buyer or the seller to know about when I'm going through the report. So I'm able to do that. I'm able to look at the public facts versus the listing facts. And if I go and look at the house and say, that was a 4-bedroom, but they've actually converted 2 of those bedrooms into 1-bedroom, I can make that change and call that a 3-bedroom. Or if the square footage is different and I measured it out and I feel real confident, I can change the square footage. Now, these changes you're making over on the right only will be seen by you in your RPR. No one else sees that. You can also add a new row. So if there's something that's not there, or you want to type in swimming pool, you can add that, and now I can include that right over here with my notes. Now, this little chart right here has been a real lifesaver for me, and I want to tell you how I use this. First of all, I like to uncheck the county and I like to uncheck the state. I just get those 2 out of the way. And what we're really looking at here, keep in mind the gold line is the subject property. So I'm able to look at this and see where's the value of the property and what's going on in this zip code. Now, there's not a lot of discrepancy here, but there is somewhat. This house is priced a little above the median estimated home value for this area. Recently, I had some folks, they were up here as a seller, and the median price range was down here. There was a huge gap. And I used this graph to point this out to them, and I circled where they were. And I did this little zigzag, and I said this is where most buyers are in our area, in your community, in your market area. And I told them, I said, now please don't get me wrong. This does not mean no one wants to buy a home in your price range up here. I just want you to know what I'm up against. If I don't show your house very often, please understand why. And if I bring you an offer on your house, please just ask me, where do we sign? No, it's kind of usually that gets a good laugh in a live class, but I was trying to set them up that if we get an offer, you better look at it really hard because there's a big gap between where you're at and where the marketplace is. Now, let's just flip this. What if you were working with a buyer? As a buyer's agent, you have fiduciary obligations to that buyer. You definitely want them to understand where they're going in with that property in the marketplace. Because if they call me up or call you up in a year and say, we've been relocated, come out and sell our house, you're going to have the same problem with those people. So this is a really good little map. It's a good tool. I use it a lot, and I just wanted to point that out to you because I think that it's a tool that I use a lot. Now we've got lots of data, and I'm not going to spend time pointing it out. You can look at it. There are plat maps and mini MLSs you can download. There's walkability scores. There's tax information. There are deeds. Today we were looking at properties. There were a lot of mortgage data there. So we've got all of that information right in the middle. Now on the right-hand side, I've got more stats. I'm over here now about what's going on in the market. I can look at the neighborhood report. I can look at the school information, and I can look at those comparative the times that it's been in the MLS before. So I've got lots of good data there. Now I do want to point out three more things on this first page and the first tab, and then we're going to move on to all this other stuff. First of all, look at this tab right here. It's called Property Analysis for Investors. I'm just going to click on it, and then I'm going to cancel this. But you literally have a free tool here where you can plug in the numbers. I'm going to hit cancel. You can plug in the numbers here for what you think the property will rent for, what they paid for it, what the expenses are, and it will go through and do some really comprehensive analysis of what the rate of return is on this property. So that's right here in the middle. And then the next button are training videos in the RPR blog, so you can find out more information there as well. Now on mine, and I'm logged into someone else's account, in my account, I also have a third box that allows me to log into zip forms. And so I can literally, if I was writing a contract on this property, I click zip forms, and zip forms will populate with the form I want to use and dump all of the data that I need, the legal data, the legal description, the street address, the owner's names of record, right into the contract for me. So that's a very cool feature as well right there. Now, one more item on this first tab, mind you, we're still on the first tab, is this bigger map over here. So I'm going to select the bigger map, and I'm going to minimize my screen a little bit so we can get some more real estate space and you can see what's going on here. First of all, there's a little orange button right here. That's the subject property. Bring that up a little bit. There's my subject property right there. If I want to look at this property, I can just click on it, pull it right up. Now, I can also look at what's going on in the neighborhood. So here's a home that sold for $100,000. Here's a home behind it that sold for $210,000. Here's a red house. That's a pre-foreclosure, $228,000. It's a pre-foreclosure. I can look at the neighbor's house. It's not listed, but RPR is giving it a value. See that? So now I'm able to really look anywhere in the neighborhood to see what's going on in the neighborhood. And some of you now, I just reminded you of Mr. Rogers, and we'll be singing that song all day long, won't we? But here we are in a Google view, and I just want you to look at, because this is mind-boggling to me as someone who got their license in 1978 when we had a 3-ring hole punch MLS and the new listing section were 2 weeks old. And I talk about in the app, your app on your phone for RPR, you have traffic counts that you can get for properties right on your phone. I remember having to call the Missouri Traffic Department in Jeff City, and they mailed me the traffic counts because we didn't have fax machines back then. And today we can go in and we can sit at the kitchen counter with these people right here and say, you know, I know you said the neighbors down the street sold their home and you thought they sold it for 250,000, but it actually sold for 100. Now and that's a far extreme exaggeration, but you see what I mean? We're able now to really engage with the client and customer and talk to them about what's literally going on in their marketplace. And so we have this ability to look at that information if I want to zoom out and look at a bigger neighborhood, I can do that. I can also look at various items here. Now, watch what happens when I zoom out further. I can now search by school districts, census blocks, zip codes. So the further I zoom out, the more options I have. Now, I can also search by drive time. So if I'm working with a doctor and he says, and this is the hospital, and he says, I have to be within a 10-minute drive of the hospital on weekends, because I can change it by time and date. I hit apply. I can now search for properties within that 10-minute drive range. Or I've have a fireman I'm working with right now. He says I've got to live within 5 minutes, 5 miles of the fire department. I place the dot where the fire department is, and I hit apply, and now I can look. And if this is the fire department, I know where to search for houses that will meet his criteria. I'm in Springfield, Missouri, and look at this. How this is. This is a college town. And if the parents were buying a child a home and this was the business building, of course, we can search by drive time, but we can also search by walking. And if the parents said, we really don't want our daughter to have to walk any more than 15 minutes to school, I can go out and search by a 15-minute walk. So there's some really great tools that you can do right up here. And I can also this is we're going to go out in deeper waters here, okay? So I want to show you something really cool. I'm going to go into Polygon, and I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to bring my map down, and I'm going to bring it right up here and right over. And now I could search this area. I can even edit the area. So if I was like, oh gosh, I meant to bring that right up here, because that's part of the subdivision. Now I can save this, and I'm going to call this Whispering Pines. That's usually a good name for a subdivision, isn't it? And I'm going to select OK. Now I just saved an area called Whispering Pines. Let's go back to the home screen. Let's go over to our saved button, saved searches and saved items over on the left. And look, there's Whispering Pines right there. Now I'm going to pull up Whispering Pines and 39 properties. This is the subdivision I want to own. I want to be the go-to person for this subdivision. So I'm going to go over here and select Create a Report. And I'm already on Market Activity, which is what I want. I'm going to go to More Details. I can change this to the past month if I want to, or I could do a quarterly. I usually uncheck Expired and Open, and I'm going to run the report. Now, what have I just done? I've created a market activity report, and I'm going to put this on my website that's branded with my picture, and now I have a market activity report for that subdivision. And I think this is the one I did today for Springfield, so I'll pull this up, and you can see that it's a really cool report. There's my friend Kiki. Some of you may have seen her at some of the events teaching. But look, it's giving me all the lowdown of what's going on in that neighborhood that I can now use on my website. So I'm driving people to my website. Go to mayfieldre.com/Whispering Pines. When they go there, They click on the download, and you could use any picture you want there. If you're using WordPress, they've got a great plugin, the company I use. And now you've got this really cool report about Whispering Pines, and people are going to think of you when they're thinking of real estate in that subdivision. So here's the report. We download it, we put it on our website, and we promote that and allow people to then think of us for this market area to try to get more listings in that area. Now, you could get as cool as you want to. You could use Snagit and do a video and put on YouTube and embed that on your website. You could literally, I've done some of these where I have a green screen in my basement and I can project this on the wall and I can stand there and be kind of similar to the newscaster or the weatherman talking about what's going on in their subdivision. And the great thing is, if you can get a little pop-up or train people to give you their email, now you can just send them the report via email instead of having to send a postcard to the neighborhood. But some really cool things that you can do when you go into the market activity or the bigger map. Now, I want to go back to the home screen and notice I have all of my recent properties, recent searches, and reports here. So if I wanted to go back to this property on Flower Street in Phoenix, Arizona, and remember a moment ago we were on the bigger map and I showed you lots of options here and things you can do. I want to show you these heat overlays down below. So if I select a heat overlay, now I can look at the market in general and what's happening. In this case, darker blue means what? The market's actually been going up. I'm doing the last 12 months. If it was in red, it would be going down. I actually had a lady not too long ago. She was really upset with me when I told her what her price was. I'm sure you may not have people like that where you are, but I gave her the price. She wasn't real happy at all. She told me, she said, I just bought this house last year and you're telling me I've lost money? Her house, if you were looking at a weather map and you saw that big red thunderstorm coming toward your town, her house would have been right in the middle of that red thunderstorm. When I showed her this map and what it meant and that it was coming from all of the data in our MLS, she understood the pricing problem. Now, I can also look at other items like flood zones. And you might say, well, where are they getting this data? This is not in a flood zone. The pink would be. Everything's footnoted right over here. So that's coming from FEMA. It's updated every year. Some of you who are in bigger cities, you might be able to get some more meaningful data out of some of these other overlays. I'll be very honest with you. I'm in a small rural community. The ones that tend to help me the most are the 12-month. There's a couple of these that work. Some of them we just don't have enough data. But in some of the communities where they have a lot of homes where I've been in, these heat maps are really a good tool. Now, keep in mind, the heat maps are located right underneath this bigger map. So it's right over here. Okay, that's the first tab. Now let's go to the second tab and we get lots of information. So in this, I could see when the house was listed, if they had gone out and taken a loan out, if they had other listing activity, I would see all of that through here. I have prior sales transactions I can look at. We already discovered on this house there was no prior sales transactions. I can go back and look at text data. And look at this. I can look at the mortgages they have on the property. So in this case, I'm able to go back. And a lot of that is specific to your MLS and how much information. This is distressed information back in 2010. So I've got lots of information. The third tab, charts and graphs to your heart contends. Lots of information. And now we go to refine value. This is probably one of the tabs you're going to use a lot. Of course, you want to make sure all the changes are up to date here. Now, we can actually have a conversation with the sellers about various things they've done. I don't have time to go into detail with you on a story that I normally share, but I can tell you from firsthand knowledge that people appreciate this. And I kind of learned the hard way in understanding that, a lot of times people tell you that they added a new bathroom or they did something, and we really don't pay much attention to it. But down deep, that's a big deal to those folks. And so now I can give them credit for the new bathroom they put in March 2015. It gave them $2,500 value, and you can see it's upgrading that information there. Now, at any time, if I want to remove this item, I can remove it or restore from up above. So I can add home improvements. I can also uh, type in things if I think that they need a new roof, and I'm estimating here that it might cost 15,000. I can include that, and so that's going to take away from the value of the house. I can also, this is again where I said you get to use your experience and your knowledge of the marketplace. So you can move your, market conditions here in Springfield, very good right now. So we'd move that up. If you thought the home needed some painting and work outside, you could change that. If the interior condition needed some carpeting and work, you could change that. You can change the lot size if it's a bigger lot. And notice it's calculating everything for us down here. So all of this on the refined value is very important for you. This is really where you get to say to the computer, look, Mr. or Mrs. Computer, you're just a computer. I'm going to use my knowledge of the marketplace, my physical inspection of this property, and I'm going to fine tune this property to be more accurate when I deliver my final automated valuation. So the last step is to go over to the comp analysis. We're going to do the top one here. The bottom one's good if you do some BPOs, but you have to actually do more calculating. So I would always use the top one, which is just the default. And now we confirm the facts and we find comps. Here, just leave everything alone, because this is what an appraiser would try to look for. And these are the variables the appraiser would look for based on this house. And so we're trying to find comps that would fine tune or be best for this property. When we find these comps, we just simply add the ones that we want to use. Now, keep in mind, today I'm here doing a session in Springfield, Missouri, and a couple of the folks pointed out quickly to me, there's some properties over here that the computer chose that are in a totally different subdivision, and you wouldn't want to use those. So you could uncheck those and it'll take them out, or I could remove it over here on the right. But I'll add a few comps and by the way, the star just means the computer added that. Here's one the computer did not use in the RVM valuation. And I can go down here and I can even pull some actives up. A lot of solds there. Here's some sell pendings. We'll just throw a couple in there. And now I'm just going to update and close. Now you would take your time and really painstakingly go through, find some comps. And now the last part is we're going to adjust our comps. You can make the photos bigger if you're like me and you need to look, when you're going to look through the pictures, you want to be able to look at those a little better. And here you use your experience and your knowledge of the marketplace. If you're familiar with this home and it's not as nice, just move it over towards the worst. If you know this home and it's a little better, you can move it that way. If you say, I'm going to go to the next group here, and if you say, wait a minute, this is the house across the street. It's almost identical to it, and it's under contract. I would put that in the first position so that you can go over that. And then I would come down here to the bottom and I would type some notes in. This way you can highlight that in your report when you're going over it with the customer. Again, I like to use my iPad. I'm a visual person, so I like to circle things. and kind of mark and tell the folks, why I chose that and what's going on. To me, that's very effective and it helps. And then I just email them the report. It's about 80 pages, but yeah, I always tell groups just go read Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Tipping Point, and he talks about the law of fundamental attribution error. People will they'll give you more credit as being a better expert or knowledgeable or a better subject matter if you've got a report that really rocks and has lots of information. So now here I can just go in, find, if I want to make my own numbers here, I could put those in right here, and I could select save. Oh, and I'm going to create, here, I got to put this higher. I meant to put 279 there, and I meant to put 259 here. We'll save that. And now I'm going to create my report, and I'll do the seller's report. If I want to remove any of these features, you just simply uncheck the box. But again, I would just leave it all there. I would include their name, and then I would run the report. And when it's finished, it will be available for you to go out and present to them, and then you can email it from your phone app. And if you haven't downloaded the app here, you need to do that. It's available for the Android and the Apple, but it all syncs. So notice, remember that Whispering Pines subdivision I did a moment ago? It's right here in my recent reports. And I can also pull that up on my mobile phone and send it out. Now, I would take the report and download it and put it in a Dropbox because they will expire after about 30 days. And that way, if you have a neighborhood report about a particular area, we did a neighborhood report a minute ago. Here's a neighborhood report of O'Fallon. This way, if I had this in the Dropbox, I could pull this up and it would not expire on me. And so I would have at least something rather current. But all of my recent searches, all of my recent properties are right here. So that's kind of a nutshell of how you use RPR, some of the basic stuff. Don't forget, you can type in help information right down here. And I write the article, which is, trying to think what we call it now. I think it's called, I'm going to go to view original article. Release updates, that's what we call it. I typed in recent, but if you go to the help desk, we've got lots of articles out here. And if you go to welcome, the release notes, and right here, this is where I type this up every month, and I kind of go through all the new features that we add every month. So it's out here on the RPR blog site. You can do that. And don't forget that we do have 24/7, 365 days service through live chat, or you can call them. They're in Omaha, Nebraska. Really great people. We talked about the commercial versus residential and pretty much all of the things in here. If you have any questions, I want to pull my website up so that you can contact me. If you go to businesstechguy.com, I'm going to place this webinar, and I've got some others out there that I've done. If you go to resources and RPR, right out here, you'll notice these are some different webinars I've done for RPR. And by the way, if you go back to just the resources tab, I have a really cool expired listing letter that I have done for RPR. And I have a little lady down in Jackson, Mississippi. She just gets one. She texts me and says, I got another one. Thank you. But you're welcome for this if you want a copy. I just, have you heard about the new RPR pricing module? And I've had good success with it as well. I've had some good. So she uses it religiously. You can also sign up for my tech tips if you're out there. But resources, RPR, Let me take a quick look and see if we had any questions. I don't know if you were on with me, Valerie. I don't see Valerie on there. So let me take a quick look if there's any questions. There's like 300 something people on, so I won't be able. What about finding properties under tax sale? I don't know if those are there yet. That's a great question, Marcus, but I can check on that. What's the editing tool you use? It's called Snagit, and it's from a company called techsmith.com right here. And if you go to products, it's called Snagit. It's really a great tool. And okay, the program I use for my iPad is called iAnnotate, and I have some sessions I've done on that. So if you're interested in that, just send me an email. I'll be glad to send you some videos you can watch with that. Hey, you guys have been a great group. Thank you so much. We had a huge crowd on here today, and I hope that this was helpful for you. I love RPR. It's a great tool. I wish I could have shared more of my stories and other things I sometimes share because I normally go about 10 minutes over, but I tried to keep it a little bit on target today for you. But really feel free to reach out to me. Oh, let me show you one other tool. The lady that from Texas, that she did her digital magazines with this company called Flip Snack right here. And it's free for a certain number of copies that you make. I use a different program that I paid for that I like because it doesn't have any advertisements and it's kind of my own in my own control. But Flip Snacks, what she's using. But hey, reach out to me. It's businesstechguy.com. If you have any questions, I'd love to help you. Thanks so much for watching. Go out and list and sell something today. That'd be great. Talk to you soon. And thank you so much. Bye.